Well, we got the truck looking a little better. The underside is looking really nice, with the exception of that exhaust. We're gonna fix that today. Well, I thought I could live with the exhaust being a little crusty, a little dirty, but that's not gonna happen. We gotta fix this up. So instead of redoing the exhaust, I mean, it fits really good and it's very tight. So to replicate that with like stainless would take a ton of work. Plus there's nothing wrong with it other than it's dirty. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna rip that exhaust off. We're gonna sandblast it, which is gonna be a pain in the butt because it's like 10 feet long. It's not gonna fit in our sandblast cabinet. So I have a pressure pot. We're gonna sandblast this outside, make a giant mess in the driveway. But either way, we're gonna sandblast it and we're gonna Cerakote it. We're gonna use the Glacier Silver from Cerakote, this stuff right here. It's a really nice silver color. I think it's gonna look really good on our exhaust. And that stuff is a very high temp. I think it's like 2000 degrees or something close to it. It's gonna be perfect for our exhaust. So let's get this ripped off. And then we do have a few leaks to fix while that Cerakote's curing up. While we have the exhaust off, it's gonna be a little easier to do. The transfer case is leaking and the transmission's leaking. So while we got this thing in the air, we're gonna fix some leaks as well. Would you look at that? This exhaust looks freaking amazing. I'm so excited to get that on and should look so much better. I also did the little top pieces there where we put the V-band so we can separate it. So we're good to go on exhaust. We're gonna let that cure up. One thing I wanna fix real quick is my transfer case leak. So I already replaced the seals in the transfer case. It was still leaking. I believe it's leaking from, there's a plug in the back of this slip yoke right down inside of there. That's pretty common actually to leak. The shaft itself was dry, but it was dripping off of this U-joint. So I'm pretty sure that's the culprit. I'm gonna clean that real good and I'm just gonna run some RTV in there. Some people use epoxy, but I feel like with the vibrations and everything, RTV being a lot more flexible, I think it'll hold better. So like I said, let's clean this up real good and I kind of get my finger in here. I should be able to smear some RTV around that cap and that should cure our leak. Well, the Cerakote is done and this stuff looks so good. If you guys want to check this out, head over to Cerakote.com. I'll have the link down in the description box. Now this Cerakote you can use for a bunch of different things. It's really good for high heat. Like I said, it's good up to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. So for something like exhaust, it's obviously never going to get that hot. So it's perfect for that. And if I remember right, I did my entire powder coat oven. It's more of like a greenish color, but that was the same Air Cure C Series Cerakote. So there's so much different stuff that you can use this stuff for, but either way, we got to get this back on. Before we do that, I want to fix my transmission leak, and I think the main leak is coming from this little O-ring right here. This is for the accumulator on it'd be the passenger side, that one that I pulled the spring out when it was completely broken. Well, I put a new spring in it, I got a new seal, but I didn't realize that there's actually a steel cover and an aluminum cover, and they take a different O-ring. I'm not sure, I just bought a kit, I'm not sure which that one is for, and it was extremely tight to get in, so I think it's the wrong seal. I'm gonna swap it out with this O-ring, and then we'll get the exhaust back on, and this stuff is gonna look so good. The underside of this truck is gonna look so much better with this exhaust done. All right, you can see we're under the passenger side here, and there's that round cover right there. That's what we got to pull off, and there's a spring under there. It's kind of tricky. So what I came up with is I just got a bolt that we can basically stuff in between the cover and the frame there, and then just open that nut up to push that cover in to hold it, so you can get that spring or that clip off, and then pull the spring and everything out, pull the cover off, pull the O-ring out, and then we'll use that to tighten it back up to push that cover back in so that we can get that snap ring in easier. All right, there's the two O-rings. You can see the bottom one is the one we took out, which is quite a bit bigger than the new one I have. So I think that's just the wrong O-ring. Like I said, this thing was so hard to get in because there was just too much O-ring. It was too big. So let's get this one in. I think this is gonna solve our leak because I'm pretty sure that was just kind of pushing past where it actually should seat in that body. So hopefully that'll solve our leak. Well, exhaust is done, looking good. I am so happy with how that turned out. Now, we got a couple things to figure out. The two most common concerns with this build. Are we gonna be able to fit a hood, and are we gonna be able to fit a grill? This radiator is moved so far forward to be able to clear everything with the engine, and with the high ram intake manifold, it's sitting very high. So we got to figure out if we can fit a hood and a grill. So I got a new grill we're going to cut up, see if we can get that to fit. And then I've already kind of set the hood on. We're going to have to do some cutting. I think it's going to fit the factory hood. I think it's going to work. Well, that wasn't too bad. Cut a couple mounts off the top. Obviously, we're not going to use those mounts because we don't even have a core support there. But either way, we're on and it's clearing by maybe a 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch. We are good to go. Let's see if we can get a hood to clear this beautiful Holley intake manifold, throttle body. I think this bracket's going to be the biggest thing. Plus, we'll have to cut like the hinge little mount off of the hood here because that is hitting, and the radiator cap is going to be another issue. Might have to trim for that, but I think we can make it work. All right, hood is on, and you can see it doesn't close all the way. The thing that's hitting right now is the hood latch, little strap right there. That's gonna be next. After that, I think the radiator cap's probably gonna hit. Luckily, you can see we have about 1 inch of space right here from the inner brace or inner structure of that hood. So we should just be able to notch this out for the cap, chop those off, and that should fit as long as the intake manifold clears, which we got lucky on this style hood because on the 89 to 95s they have this factory little cowl section raised up in the middle. That's our saving grace, I think, for that intake manifold. I think it might clear. Would you look at that, guys? We got it to fit. So I just had to trim off, like I said, those two mounts for the hinge and cut a hole for the radiator cap. And this thing actually fits. We have actually about a 1/2 inch of clearance from the top of the manifold and throttle body to the hood. So we are good to go. I do have actually another hood. This was just kind of a test piece. This thing's pretty haggard. It's way bent down here. This whole back is just kind of bowed up. And then this side is bent down here and big old crease right there. I do have another hood, and I do have some better looking hood latches or little quick disconnects here for the hood. Well, here's the new hood. I figured we'll get this thing ready. You can see it's in way better shape. There's still a few little dents in it, but the whole thing's not out of whack and bowed like that one is. So I already got this thing trimmed out like we did on there for the hood latch and that hole. Now I want to get my new hood pins or hood latches set up. So we got these ones. These are actually supposed to be a pretty good latch, and they're made in the USA. Let's open these things up and check them out. They're a little smaller than I hoped, but I already checked these things out and they do lock into place really tight. So I'm hoping these will be strong enough. I'm gonna do 2. The nice thing is they're small, so you're not really they're not gonna stick out like those huge ones that are on there. So we'll just get these marked up, and then we'll put these pins in place of the ones that are already on here. We'll get those in, get those set right, get the holes cut in the hood for these, and then I want to set up our hood struts on this as well. I went to go put my new hood on and I realized it was sitting all weird. These hinges are, one of them's pretty bent and I couldn't get it right, so I need to go find new hinges. In the meantime, we haven't driven the truck we've just driven it around the field. I want to bring this thing out on the road, get it up to speed, and just see how it drives. I mean, like I said, I've only been like 10 miles an hour in the field, so let's get some GoPro strapped on this thing and go bring it down the road. Feels a little better running on 8. Last time we drove it on the road, it was running on 7 cylinders. Did not run very good. Well, here goes nothing. Oh yeah, it actually has a little bit of power this time. Oh yeah, she picks right up. She actually don't drive too bad. Definitely needs an alignment. Let's see how it takes some bumps. Oh yeah, those 63s definitely ride way better than the Toyota Leafs, I'll tell you that. up pretty dang good. I'm used to the LS on 40s. This thing feels quite a bit different being on 35s. Let's give her the berries. Oh yeah. This thing feels pretty dang good. Not bad. Looks like temps and everything are staying fine. I'm at 185 water temp. Trans is at 110. Oil temp's at 200. AFRs look like they're doing all right. 13 under that little hit right there. Like I said, it does need some self-tuning. It says it needs like hours and hours of driving before you really want to mess with anything, just for it to like self-tune, self-learn, and we'll see how that does. If that doesn't do it, then we'll have to get it tuned. But I mean, straight out of the box, this thing actually runs pretty dang good, other than that like long crank kind of hard start issue. We'll see if that resolves itself, but other than that, everything looks really good. Well, look at that. Hood pins are on and pretty stinking stout, honestly, for being a smaller hood pin. These are the biggest ones that I think they make, but I think they're going to work just fine. And to pop them, it's really simple. You just push the button in the middle, bam, and we're up. So we are good to go. Now let's figure out hood struts. Well, there we go. Hood struts are on and looking good, working great. If you guys want a set of these things, head over to avrcustoms.com. I'll have it linked down in the description box. I make these things for a bunch of different Toyota pickups, 4Runners, Tacomas. Check these out at avrcustoms.com. Well, anyway, after our drive yesterday, I got home. My intake manifold was leaking coolant again. I went and sealed up the bolts again for the 5th time, I think. But I'm pretty certain at this point it's intake gaskets. So one of these days we'll have to pull the manifold back off and redo those gaskets. I don't know if we kind of ruined that gasket with the bolts leaking and just soaking that gasket with antifreeze. That could be it, or it just wants to leak. So we got to tear it apart, figure out what is going on with that intake manifold, but that is going to be in a future video. We are wrapped up for this one today. Well, at any rate, our exhaust looks amazing, and I am super freaking pumped that we got a hood and a grill fitting. That was two of the things that I was kind of worried about getting to fit. So without too much trimming, I mean, we didn't even have to really trim the skin underneath the hood, all that framing or brace work under there. We didn't really have to trim that. All we had to do was cut that latch off and, I mean, cut holes for the radiator cap and whatnot. But I'm freaking pumped we got it to work. Well, anyways, I'm gonna wrap this one up here, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Why don't you go smash that thumbs up button, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next one.